So in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to clean up these crusty matte powders. Now in this case I've got two here, and this one, although it's got shimmer, it's technically a matte base, so this is very prevalent with powders that do have a little more of a satin matte finish. And I'm going to show you first the tools I'm going to end up using, which is this Real Techniques pointed foundation brush. I think it's called the Essential brush, is one you can use. But the one I personally like using is actually this pointed foundation brush, and you can see the difference between these two. But this one's a lot more tapered, and even though they still have the same amount of hairs, this one's really good at basically skimming the surface of the powders you're going to end up cleaning. The other tool I'm going to use is this spatula knife, just to get anything out that's stubbornly sticking to it. So I'm going to show you this one, and I just basically started using this one, and it's already started caking and crusting just due to the nature of the powder itself. Because of the split pan, they have to press a little harder to get the pan to act together. So in this case, actually I'll show you this way. Take this brush, and you want to keep it relatively level to the pan. And I'm just going to lightly skim it. And the idea is I just want to pick up stuff that's really stuck and caked in there. Now you're going to lose a fair amount of product. After all, I am skimming the pan, but in the long run you end up losing a lot less when you do it this way first. That way you're not really digging into the powder too much, just the surface very lightly, and then again go diagonally as well. So that's a lot of product, but you can see there's grooves and notches everywhere. But overall, you get all those little black marks of oil pretty much lifted up. Again, always change your position too, because sometimes it's just a matter of getting the right angle on whatever edge of those oiled spots are. Now, why bother doing this? Well, you might actually like this product, and two, there's still more to work with underneath. It's just a matter of getting that crusted product off from the top. Yeah, I'm blowing on it. Because I want to see what's left, and that's actually pretty good. It's gotten most of it off. I'm just going to skimming around the edges here to see if I can pick up any more product. The reason why this one works so much better is, again, it's a lot firmer. It doesn't have much give compared to this one, which is, it's softer, but just more flex in the tip. Yeah, if you're doing this for client makeup, yeah, definitely get a spray can of air, compressed air to do this. And I actually did a pretty good job because I didn't let it get too ingrained in there. Again, it's not going to be pretty anymore, but you can still keep using this powder. And just for a quick test, I'm going to just grab a powder brush. I should have one. There we go. It's a nice fluffy brush. So that's pretty good. Again, I did gouge in there a little bit, but those are like micro surface scratches. And those will wear down once you start working with the product again. So there you go. That didn't need anything extra to get the product off, because again, I didn't leave it too long with those caked bumps, basically, is what it ended up turning into. Now on this NARS Torrid, I already did this first on this to figure out how it would work. But there's a few more on here. I'm actually going to tap this off, because I don't want to mix the powders too much. And for the most part, I got most of the product up. Just going back to see if there's anything more. But if you have anything super stubborn, actually, unfortunately I don't anymore, but there's a couple of areas here. Once you get most of that product up, you might have a stubborn spot that's just not lifting up, so take your palette knife, or spatula I should say, either end would work. But I'm going to use the round one just so I can show you. You want to very gently scrape any Not too hardly, but just very gently scrape the edge and see if you can lift it. Anything else that's stuck there that's not coming up. That's pretty good. Unfortunately, I don't really have one that's already really stuck, but this brush ended up doing most of the work for me, which is great. And and actually, in terms of different textures, even though this one is it has a lot more gouge marks in it because the texture of the powder is quite soft, but the composition was prone to getting caking residue up. Whereas this one, it's quite a dense pan, so when I use this one, I don't actually get any scratch marks in the surface in comparison. But it takes longer for this one to scratch, or there we go. Sorry, not scratch, but like cake up just because of the type of products being used, and I've had this one for a while. So yeah, that is a quick tutorial on how to clean up your pans before they get too caked with oil or foundation or whatever other sort of liquid products that you accidentally transfer over into your pans. And yeah, for matte powders, always try to set your foundation first before you start going in with a powder over top. It kind of sucks if you're doing this with actually I'll show you another one. So here we have the NARS, what is this? Translucent crystal press version of the powder. Personally, I prefer this one over the loose just because it's not shimmery, but as you can see, I've already had to dig up again. Because this is a setting powder, you're going to be using this over top of a foundation. And again, the oils are transferring on here, so it ended up caking up and crusting it in a slightly different way where it just looks very glossy. So when I do this method, you can see it's like scratching the surface up to nobody's business. So in case of this powder, you're gonna unfortunately run into this quite frequently just because you are using powder brush. You don't end up loading up a lot of powder onto the brush itself. I actually wish this powder was a little bit softer because you only kick up so much, but I definitely recommend really loading up this brush so that way when you go back in, you won't be transferring as much oil. I say that's better. So that wraps up my short tutorial on how to de-film / de-cake your pressed powders. Now, again, pressed powders are going to be prone to oil transfer and liquid transfer, which is what causes basically that film to produce. And again, I hope to see you soon. Bye!